Tesla stock bulls are celebrating. I'll go through all of today's Tesla stock news, starting with this story that everyone is so excited about. The FSD nag has no reason to exist anymore. Kill it. And Elon says fixed in 12.4. But maybe Elon was just replying to this post. I went up to 10 minutes without nag on FSD. Maybe it's just a fluke, and maybe he says it's fixed and now there's going to be nag again. This caused so much confusion, especially because there's an investigation from NHTSA. So how can Tesla remove the nag under investigation when scrutiny is really high? The only way this can happen is if FSD is getting significantly better, even better than what we have today with V12. And we know that 12.4 is indeed quite a bit better based on what Elon Musk is saying. And so Farzad asked Elon, can you confirm that you're talking about the nag being removed and not the bug being fixed, which would put the nag back in? Because if true, it is a pretty big deal. And Elon Musk confirms, yes, the nag will be removed in 12.4. And so everyone in the Tesla community right now is saying this is a very big deal. People are celebrating because it is a huge deal, but you won't know it unless you actually use FSD regularly and you know how annoying the nag is. So I expect analysts and the market generally to completely overlook this news, but to me as a long-term investor in Tesla stock, this is definitely a financially material event, just like it is for Omar. It is solid proof that FSD is certainly, definitely getting better. So Elon is on the roll, laying everyone off, including the nag. And if you like having no nag, like and subscribe. AJ also says it's a big deal. It means Tesla either improved the interior camera driver monitoring enough to see no need for the nag anymore, or feel comfortable enough with the safety profile of FSD to remove the nag. I think personally it's a combination of both, but I think it's mostly about FSD getting better. Elon has been hyping the next FSD version, and I expect it to be significantly better. To me, the most annoying thing about the nag was I could have my hands on a steering wheel and I would still get nags, and I would be paying attention to the road, and I would, let's say, need to do some sort of maneuver and watch my car really carefully, and then bam, the nag comes on. I need to look away from the road, from the most important thing that I need to focus on in the moment, and look at the screen. Oh, it's flashing. Okay, nag. Let me do something about it. It's not like it's a huge deal, but it was so annoying to me, and it definitely made my driving less safe. Overall, it's safe, but it's just not as safe with the nag, at least specifically in my case. Keep in mind that FSD V12 has been released to the public about 2 months ago, and within that time frame, they have managed to remove the beta label and the wheel nag while still ramping up training compute. Super exciting time, and if it feels like something big is happening, it's because it is. In the meantime, Hyundai Motors joint venture self-driving company Emotional has laid off its employees and postponed plans to commercialize its technology. To which Elon says, it is a very hard problem to solve. And what many analysts fail to understand is that other companies can't just copy Tesla's homework. If you don't have the fleet, you don't have the data. If you don't have the data, you don't have a chance. And having the data does not guarantee success, but having no data absolutely guarantees failure. And Elon says, exactly. If you don't have about 6 million vehicles on the roads right now collecting data for you, you probably have no chance competing with Tesla. Your best hope is to use LiDAR, HD maps, and hope and pray that Tesla is going to be so slow solving FSD that in the meantime, you can create a little business for yourself, and maybe somehow eventually the LiDAR technology can get cheap enough for you to maybe for some period of time have a viable business before Tesla eventually does solve FSD with a pure vision approach, and then eventually puts you out of business. But maybe you can have a decade or 5 years or 3 years or 2 years of a fairly good business. And by a fairly good business, I mean raise billions of dollars, never make any profit, and lose it all. Exactly like Argo AI did. They lost 3.7 billion. And this message goes out to all of the Tesla bears. I'm just kidding. Please ignore everything that I'm saying today. Of course, we are still buying Tesla stock. Nothing to see here, just a car company. No AI, FSD doesn't exist. Robotaxis will never happen. Removing the nag while scrutiny is much higher. NHTSA is investigating Tesla non-stop. That means absolutely nothing. Just like Tesla securing this new $448 million Megapack contract to quadruple the size of this battery in Queensland, Australia, making it the biggest in the state. I mean, so blatantly obvious, this is so bearish for Tesla stock. For example, this is definitely proof that Tesla is struggling. In just the last year, Tesla has secured $3 billion worth of new Megapack orders in Australia, a country that makes up only 0.3% of the global population. And that $3 billion figure, that's just the orders we know about. Tesla's global energy business is just getting started, and it absolutely is going nowhere. And the reason why FSD will never work is because Tesla does not put FSD into the Cybertruck, which of course is proof that FSD is never going to work. So if Tesla cannot put FSD in such an expensive vehicle, never mind that it is widely different from the rest of the Tesla's fleet, not just because of how it looks, but because of rear wheel steering, which of course definitely does not mess up FSD data. So just because Tesla cannot put FSD in the Cybertrucks, that is obviously proof that Tesla is never going to solve FSD. And perhaps most importantly, how dumb is Tesla trying to deploy new FSD versions to vehicles that could actually turn into robotaxis immediately instead of focusing on Cybertruck, which had pretty much no deliveries. I mean, the robotaxi rides would be so much cooler in Cybertrucks, right? Now, you will be surprised, but some Tesla bears, and actually quite a few of them, actually hold these opinions. Can you believe that? Now, if I did have a Cybertruck and had no FSD, I would be slightly bummed out, but I would fully understand because Tesla needs to focus on the 99% of the fleet, and the Cybertruck rear wheel steering does make it a bit different for FSD when it comes to controlling the vehicle. And here's what the creator of Gmail says about Tesla's FSD. When we bought our Tesla with FSD in 2016, I was skeptical that it would ever fully self-drive, but with the latest updates, it's getting pretty good. Probably at the level of a median Uber driver, and unlike the Uber drivers, it keeps getting better, and it's about to get a whole lot better. My guess is that Elon is currently in the process of betting the company on a massive scale up of robotaxi, pivoting Tesla from selling cars to selling point-to-point transportation. This is the fastest way to 10x revenues while also boosting margins, and obviously requires a very different supercharger strategy among other things. Bad news for Uber though. Inevitably FSD will come, it's just a question of exactly which year. Oh, and we're getting some news about FSD in China. FSD tech braced through challenges for open road testing in China. 8 main districts in a big city in China will be made available to pilot tests of self-driving vehicles from May 1st, so it might already be happening. The regulation doesn't specify the exact level of autonomous driving allowed, but previously permits for up to level 4 autonomy have been granted. Currently, Tesla is looking to get approval to test robotaxi in Shanghai, but needs clearance from Chinese regulators before it can fully roll out FSD and collect the data required to train the software. Obviously, Elon is really focused on Tesla right now, so I would not be surprised at all if he visited China again sometime soon to finish this deal. Tesla is definitely making some moves in China. China is recruiting technical talent, including self-driving software test engineers from its Shanghai data center. And generally, the officials from China are positive about FSD overall. And look what's happening to used Teslas. This could be because of FSD. I have been following used Tesla data, and the number of Model Ys for sale on cars.com has dropped dramatically over the last 5 weeks, 2,000 to 1,400. And for the first time in possibly years, the average price of a used Model Y, according to cargurus.com, has increased over the last 1 to 2 weeks. Of course, it's still a bit early, but James says this is great. Hopefully we see this broadly in the market. I am optimistic for the US market this quarter. In the meantime, we got more layoffs. Tesla escalates China job cuts with more layoffs this week. I reported yesterday that 80% of Tesla's supercharger team has been laid off in China. So Elon is definitely not done using the chainsaw. And to me personally, it does seem that it's more than just 10% as was initially announced, but if managers were refusing to terminate, then the ongoing layoffs could be just those managers finally doing these layoffs. Initially, it was reported it's over 10%, not exactly 10%. But now it starts to seem it's more like 20, 25, maybe even 30% suggests James. We'll find out eventually, but in the meantime, we can only speculate. Keep in mind, Elon laid off most of Twitter's workforce, and the site is still running.